well pruned.
Mhm.
And I don't, I don't recall seeing any late blight on his plants at all last year. So
Nice. All right. Well, knock on wood for this year.
yeah, right, yeah. Well, I'm not growing any. I'm just growing the cherries.
Okay, so I don't think I can record through Google Meet, but I do have a different app recording us. Hopefully it works. Maybe we should wait a few more minutes. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I was just going to ask the same about how long should we give it for late.
Maybe till like 10 after.
Okay. We'll keep chatting away.
You're really quiet, Sunil, at least for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're also quiet for me.
Oh, geez. Is this better?
A little bit.
Oh, God. I had this problem yesterday, and I don't know why it suddenly happened. You know what? I'm just going to grab my microphone.
Hi, Thomas. We're just giving it a couple more minutes for folks to trickle in, and Sunil's having a technical issue with his sound, so he's fixing that.
Testing, testing. Can you all hear me?
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah, sounds good.
Can you all hear me? I can't hear anyone at the moment.
Oh, really? Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
For some reason, I can't hear you. Okay. Oh. Just everyone I can't hear. It's because I have my mic plugged into the headphone jack, I guess. So I guess if someone needs to tell me anything, please just chat in the chat. And once I'm done with the presentation, I can switch to hearing everyone. Okay, well, thanks for coming, you all. I'm doing some technical setup stuff. Try to make sure I can, oh wait, I know what to do. Okay. Oh, output to the internal. Yeah. My sound is good for everyone. Okay. Okay, Well, welcome. This is the first annual meeting of Patchwork Alliance. It's super momentous occasion, and I'm so happy to share it with you all. And so first of all, I'd love to say thank you. This is a project that is like extremely important in our view, and just by participating in whatever way you're participating, we really believe it's going to help us create a secure, equitable, and empowered local economy. And you all probably know what Patchwork Alliance is, but it's also something I thought we should talk about and find our shared kind of reasons that we're here. And so Patchwork is a multi-stakeholder cooperative, and this means that ownership is open to all the stakeholders in our economy. And so what we're doing is creating a solidarity cooperative. Oh. Somehow my screen share keeps dropping itself. Let me know if it drops again. Okay. And so what we're realizing is that our economy is not suited to like really support food and farming, and the whole food shed chain, all the way from farms to kitchens and even restaurants. And so we're hoping that by bringing us all to the table, we can start to create alternatives in solidarity and collaboration. So the background of Patchwork is that we were established in 2020, but as a cooperative, we've basically like officially been running as a cooperative with a draft bylaws since the beginning of 2021, at which time we elected an interim board of directors, and we kept working on the bylaws and finished them in March. And so we're really excited to pass this final draft of the bylaws. And why do we need Patchwork? We are finding that we need to feed our region. We need to affect disparities in resource and market access. And we need to be a stronghold in the case of catastrophe, economic depression. We need to be accessible to producers and consumers alike. And so like as a cooperative, we can empower ourselves to plan and implement region-wide food systems, create systems that affect food access issues, experiment in alternative economic models, and support each other in ways of skill sharing, education, surplus management, and also like it's really about like creating dialogue, bringing everyone to the table in order to understand where and how we should form exchange-based relationships. And so, with all of that, basically, we just want to connect everyone, whether they're producers, service providers, or consumers. So what makes us different? There's a lot of food delivery services to choose from. There's a lot of like farmer networks that are like feeding into distributors and things like that. But we are the only multi-stakeholder cooperative in Asheville doing this. And like I said, sorry for the dog, we really can't create a viable food system without coming together in a multi-stakeholder fashion. And as a cooperative, we're in service of our stakeholders and not for profit for a few. So basically, like it's a lofty kind of vision, but basically what we're starting with is a marketing and distribution cooperative. And so we have a multi-vendor online market where consumers benefit by being able to shop from dozens of producers all in one place. And then we have producer benefits with like an instant online presence, and a structure where more money goes into producers' hands compared to, you know, if they are selling to a reseller, for example, or if they're going to market and kind of paying all the fees and all that kind of stuff. And then we collectivize our marketing, distribution, and administration, including payment processing. We're getting close to launching physical versions of the Alliance. Pop-up markets will be the first thing that we unroll. And we're really hoping to see something like this picture here, where multiple vendors have storefront space, you know, 7-day-a-week kind of storefront. And a big part of the vision is to tie producers together in ways that allow specialization, that allow multi-producer box offering, and also allow for like the mechanics, the logistics of all of this to kind of run in a way where responsibility and costs aren't centralized to like one entity trying to, you know, like aggregate and store and sell and all this kind of stuff. We can start to like figure out where the weaknesses are in the system, and like producers can be feeding into a system where responsibility is more spread out and decentralized. We also really strong with access strategies. We currently accept EBT and double up food bucks, kind of at a cost. It's really logistically intense to work with the USDA as an organization such as ours. All the rules and regulations cost us quite a bit, but we're, you know, dedicated to like making sure we have access possible in as many ways as possible. And so we've done outreach to communities to find out barriers. How does an online market work in a community that doesn't have internet access, for example, things like that. And we're also trying to provide access to producers of all scales. And so we have really low entry points. It's a commission-based system, so producers who sell little are paying in less, and then they have low points of entry to become owners. And we're raising funds through our access program fundraisers to offset some of the costs with access. But we're really hoping that what we're creating is like a community grassroots strategy and system to affect food access strategy. So we're not reliant on EBT and all that stuff in the future, and we can actually bring in support from within our community. And some of those ways we're finding might be developing alternate forms of exchange, trade and barter networks, alternate currency, and just by nature of the fact that all the stakeholders are going to come together at the same table, we'll be able to really like kind of revision what our local economy looks like. And so like in that revisioning, we're really hoping to get service providers involved as well in our online market. And by having all these different types of producers and service providers together in a kind of unified market, we can start to think about alternate currency and really implement it in a really strong way. So yeah, you all are owners, and we're super excited about that. And so just to give you an understanding of what you are in relation to ownership in Patchwork, $200 equity stakes with different classes of owners. Right now we have consumer, producer, and worker owners, but we'd also like to expand into retail, outlet, wholesale buyer owners, space and facility providers as owners, and also distribution providers as owners. So like all the stakeholders in the food system are represented from the beginning. all those different stakeholders would derive certain benefits from the cooperative, and these are the benefits that we're like set on a trajectory to offer right now, and we're hoping that by coming to the table, we'll be able to expand and tweak these benefits in order to really serve everyone involved. And then governance in a cooperative, this is pretty standard cooperative governance, is one share is one vote, and we vote people into board seats, excuse that typo there, and the board may elect that major decisions that affect the cooperative as a whole might be put to a full ownership vote. And we've kind of set up the organization in circles, and we're practicing a method of holocratic governance, which is kind of a decentralized, self-organizing method of governance that's applied to businesses, generally speaking, and also is really applicable to, having autonomous kind of circles of governance and decision-making that are connected in really solid ways with all the other decision-making circles. And so that picture there you can just see is like one major circle of the alliance, where all these different decisions and governance actions could be made. And then another aspect of being an owner is patronage refunds. And so profits that the business make are decided between the management and the board to be either reinvested in the cooperative or returned to owners as patronage refunds. And so the great thing about this is that it's kind of a collective decision whether or not we like reinvest into, for example, like a warehouse space or whatever it might be in the future. And so yeah, that's ownership, and we're kind of now at the annual meeting. And so like another part of ownership is that there's an annual meeting, and that's where board seats are elected. It's where any major decisions are decided upon, and it's also where the state of the business is kind of elaborated, and I'm going to do that in a few slides later. But if you haven't yet, please take a look at the bylaws, and it's time to vote. There's a Google form. We want to have all the votes in by the end of the day today. And so if you haven't done that, please go and do that. You will see that in the link of the email, in the email that you got for this meeting. We made the bylaws, just a little bit about them. We made the bylaws with consultation with Carolina Common Enterprises. Thomas Beckett is a well-known cooperative lawyer, and he consulted with us over the last year and gave us the green light in March to say, yes, we have a final draft that we can vote on. And so we're really excited about that. But the bylaws in plain English kind of outline all these different things that you can see here. It's pretty kind of boring legalese when you read through it, but this outline here will give you a sense of like all the different things that it covers. And then as of January, like I said, we elected an interim board of directors, which comprises me, Janelle King, who's on this call, and Cade Walton, who's also on this call. And we have been, developing the business and also developing relationships and developing objectives and strategies and that kind of thing. aside from the board of directors, the interim board of directors, we have workers, who all of which aren't here today, but we have Hannah Jeske, who is our producer relations coordinator. And we have Roan Roberts, who is our distribution coordinator. Cade, who's also a board member, is also our marketing and communications coordinator. And Janelle is our customer relations coordinator. And I'm kind of doing financial projections and overall business kind of organizational, connecting all the pieces, lots of relationship building with other organizations, and also do some staff things here and there too with distribution and whatnot. And so the board, we want it to comprise a representative of all the different stakeholders in the ownership base in order to create solidarity. So if you are interested in nominating yourself or someone else, once we reach a critical threshold of board members, of nominees, I should say, we'll be briefing them on the bylaws, business plan, financial projections, the current strategy, objectives, and recommendations, and in order for them to decide if they do actually want to be a nominee to be elected. I didn't mention, but if you have any questions along the way, feel free to post them in the chat. I can answer them in the moment or at the end, but we'll have a Q&A session at the end. And I'm going to be getting through this pretty soon here. I'll be finishing this soon.
I wouldn't mind maybe
like I said,
interjecting.
we had some legal and financial advice from Carolina Common Enterprises. Marketing Outpost, a local marketing firm, developed our overall 3-year marketing strategy. And Bruce Wenger is a CPA that, okay. I will take my microphone off to let Ed talk. Okay, I can hear you.
It might have been me that Thomas was jumping in there for. No, I just wanted to interject real quick with the 2 things with the board of directors and the interfacing with the management. As Sunil mentioned, myself and Cade and him sitting on the board of directors, we would love to replace ourselves as soon as possible so that we can focus on the operations side of things and get more voices from the general ownership into place to help on the governance side of things so that we can stay focused on one or the other rather than both and having to wear all these hats, right? And in the direction we're hoping to see that go is that ideally the board of directors would be working with, typically co-ops have a general manager that the board of directors hires, but we decided to have, along with that holocratic management system in place, to have the general management be more of a team of folks, which everybody that Sunil mentioned, myself, him, Cade, Roan, and Hannah presently are acting as kind of the general management team to oversee the business operations side of things. But yeah.
What was the question that was an answer?
Oh, we lost your voice again, Sunil.
What was the question that was an answer to?
Oh, that wasn't really a question, just
Okay.
just kind of bridging the board of directors conversation with the operations side and just adding to why we need nominees.
Okay. Yeah, just okay, I'm back on my microphone, so I won't be able to hear you. Just chat if you want me to stop. Yeah, the marketing plan, like I said, was developed by Marketing Outpost. We've hired Bruce Wenger, who's a CPA, based in Wyoming, I believe, who specializes in cooperative tax accounting. A lot of his clients are some big cooperatives around the country, so we feel excited about that. We had a sit down with Jeanette Jones, who's a co-op grocer that Janelle worked with back in Washington, I believe, and had her vet our financial projections. And we've also been talking with Link Foods in Spokane, Washington, and they're a cooperative very much like ours. And we kind of just started getting them on the radar a couple months ago. And so we're excited to learn from them. And there's probably more advisors that I might not be capturing here. Collaborators, we've just started a collaborative relationship with Cooperate WNC. They have a purchasing alliance, which is sourcing kind of responsibly produced products that are common, like household food products and things like that, such as olive oil and things like that, grain, flour, and beans, things like that. And they're looking to create a purchasing alliance to purchase bulk product and distribute it. And we're collaborating with them as a hub member where we would be purchasing and also supplying logistical space and that kind of thing for distribution. We're also working with a project with Bountiful Cities, Southside Garden, Root Cross Farm, and Bounty and Soul to develop an apprenticeship program that's very exciting and is geared towards reaching communities in need of food security, economic mobility, and also skills and knowledge around food, whether it be growing or cooking and running a home kitchen. And we've had many individuals involved since the outset in 2020. We've had, I'd say, close to 30 or so people who've done something with either like sitting in on meetings or developing the bylaws or talking about strategy, all kinds of things like that. And so our business objectives, after doing financial planning, projections and things like that, we found that like we would need to get to like a $350,000 a year in sales kind of level as fast as possible, because the operations, all of that would not pay for itself until we get to that level. And so that means like around like 160 orders a week or so. And so that kind of indicates like, the scale needs to get big pretty quickly. And so this year we've had pretty slow start, and so we kind of downgraded our goals of trying to get to that level by July this year. And so instead, like by July in 2022, we're hoping to get to that kind of level. But this year, and that's about $30,000 a month. This year, we are shooting to get to, anywhere from like 60 to 100 orders a week. And we are also talking to someone who has warehouse space in West Asheville, and we're going to be moving operations over there pretty soon. We're just working on an agreement with them, and we'll be able to scale from there pretty easily. Right now we're using a mostly outdoor space in Montford that's problematic in various ways, and so we're excited to move into a clean, empty warehouse space, essentially. And we're also very soon here with the same person who has a space on Haywood Street. We're going to be launching a kind of pop-up market once a month to start out with and see where it goes from there, where we can really market the Alliance as a whole and then also offer producers vending space. And then from there, we're really hoping to implement multi-vendor storefronts where there's regular business hour type of storefronts with fee for use space to vend. And so our equity goals, like the ownership shares, those $200 stakes, are all for our startup costs, most of which is labor costs at the moment. Until we get to scale, we can run operations with very little cost, but our distribution is really heavy in cost right now because our sales don't match the amount of travel that we need to do and that kind of thing. And so our goals for equity are these numbers here. This year, we'd love to get to a 50,000 equity level. And we're feeling a little momentum build, so we're excited and don't feel like it's super out of reach to get there. And then so on from 2021 and 2022. So $160,000 equity capital invested in the business from many people, and most of them investing, $5.56 or $10 a month. And so that way we're getting a lot of participation, low buy-in, and hopefully that helps with building the cooperative as a multi-stakeholder entity at the same time. And then our sales goals, like I said, we downgraded this year, and we're thinking $200,000 in gross sales through the online market and any other sales channels that develop this year. And then in 2022, jumping that up quite a bit. And then in 2023, the gross sales volumes that we really need to get in order for the system like this to work is pretty large. And so it's an interesting kind of challenge because the margins are so slim that scaling is essential to get there. And so, basically, out of that, what we need is to have the word spread. We're small, and so like the services we're providing don't have a huge amount of weight for many participants at this moment because once we get to scale where we have lots of producers inputting large volumes of product, accommodating lots of consumer demand, in the meantime, we need lots of people participating in anticipation of getting to that point where this whole system is something that serves them in the ways I've outlined and even like beyond that. And so thank you, you all. You are the kind of founding owners of Patchwork Alliance, and we're super excited to really make this thing get to where it's going. I'm going to stop presenting here, and then one more reminder, if you haven't voted or nominated board members, we'd love to get a whole good diversity of board member nominees. It'd be super great to get lots of names as fast as possible so we can start holding elections and operate as a very strongly represented cooperative. And I'm going to take my mic out, so my internal mic is not working super great right now, so I'm going to take my mic out so I can hear you all, but we can do any questions, comments, concerns, and go from there.
Katie had a question about, could we talk a little more about what the potential board members would be doing? So we had, Sunil, do you want to take that, or do you want me to try and off the cuff that a little bit? I don't know if you're on a roll with your presentation or not.
Sure. So the question is what potential board nominees, what board members would be, what their job description is, basically. Okay, so they are in charge of making sure the cooperative can survive, essentially, and is, robust and vibrant on top of that. And so, like, they're making sure the operations, the general management team is nicely staffed, and they're also making sure that all the written contractual things that the cooperative holds, whether they be MOUs, contracts, licenses, permits, all those kinds of things, they're kind of ultimately responsible that those things are in good standing. And then they're also responsible for finalizing budgets. The financial planning and all that thing might be contained in the general management team, but the board may decide that they just want to take that on if they have the skill sets for it. And so it's a little bit not super set in stone, and the board itself can decide some of these things. But currently, the financial management and planning is contained in the general management team. But the board would ultimately kind of okay the budgets for the year and also be the ones presenting that to the ownership for approval and that kind of thing. And so the board nominees are going to get briefed on all of that stuff in order to internally kind of finalize those budgets and financial projections and that kind of thing. And so there, in the beginning, there's going to be quite a bit of time to get up to speed. But when it's running, we're actually going to figure out how much time the board, as like the individuals within it, will want to spend, and we can kind of figure out how that fits.
Now that the bylaws are done, I think a lot of heavy investment of time for board members is going to be reduced. Hopefully it could look something like one meeting per month, maybe two for the first couple of months, and then tame it down to about a meeting per month on average, with maybe some heavier requirements toward the end of the year as the board would be preparing the end of the year documents and getting ready for the annual meeting. So like wintertime might be a little bit heavier on time commitment than summertime.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm interested in being a part of it, but I haven't ever been on a board of directors before, and so that's where I'm curious of time commitments and responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that briefing process, I'd encourage you to nominate yourself, and then in the briefing process, I think we would have clarity to kind of make a final decision.
Too, like nominating yourself isn't necessarily you committing to be on the board, right? It's just saying that you're interested, and if you wanted to sit in on some sessions, and even if you decided it wasn't something that you wanted to be involved in as a board member, as an owner, you are permitted to come to meetings of the board of directors anytime, unless we're in closed session, to just sit in and get a feel for things, and even get on the agenda ahead of time if you have a certain thing that you wanted to talk about. Like, there's lots of ways as an owner to be involved in as little or as large of a way as you want to.
Yeah, and so this annual meeting is a little bit lackluster, but we're hoping when we launch our pop-up markets in May, hopefully we'll be having some celebratory things going on that will kind of celebrate the establishment of the whole thing.
I'll also try to spread the word a little bit. I work on the UNCA campus, and I'm thinking maybe I can send out we have an email forum it's an optional thing that people can be on, and maybe I'll send out a little note on that and try to help you gather some more members.
And we also have stacks of door hangers that are free that you can add to your order that we can that you could plug in. And if you have spaces that you can stick them up, community boards or anything at the college too. Maybe.
Yeah, not really right now because there's like no one on campus. We're mostly remote still, but
right.
In the future, in the
Yeah.
future, definitely.
Right. Yeah, that wasn't something I was thinking of at just that moment, but yeah.
Whoever just came on, I'm guessing it might be Ed. It seemed like you dropped the call.
Unplug your mics, Emil.
I think someone new just came on, or is that Ed?
That's yeah, that's me. I lost my connection. I'm working off of a mobile hotspot at the farm. So I'm on the phone.
Welcome back. Did you have? We were just kind of as far as what you missed, we just kind of talked about the time commitment. A question came up about what the time commitment from a board of director or for a potential nominee would look like.
I would like to know that.
Yeah. I think the answer was kind of heavy at the onset with just that transitional time frame to get everybody up to speed. Now that the bylaws are done, a lot of the really heavy lifting seems to have been alleviated. So I think in an ideal world, we're hoping for it to be like once a month meetings of the board of directors, and then some interfacing with the general management that could maybe be passed around amongst the board members to kind of share that burden. The end of the year, like catch up on financials for the end of the year and all that stuff is probably going to be where the heaviest amount of work would probably lie. Is approving budgets and preparing for the annual meeting the following each year is probably where the big stuff is going to happen. That was my Cliff's Notes version of the answer.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and it was also suggested that any owner can sit in on a meeting of the board of directors too, and to just nominate yourself if you think you're interested, and we can continue conversation. And not nominating yourself or another person to the board of directors doesn't, as a potential candidate, doesn't mean you're committing to doing it. It could just be like, hey, I want more information and want to be in conversation about whether or not this is fit,
Sure. Yep.
Questions about the bylaws or
cool. Will anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns? We're going to be putting this as a recording out. If you don't know, like our ownership base, there's probably 150. How many?
Yeah, we're a little over 100. We're at around owners, 110.
110. Yeah. So right now, like despite having only 6 people on this call, we kind of expected that too, being this time of day and all that. But yeah, a little over 100 owners right now who are actively on payment plans or have done a full equity buy-in. So it's pretty exciting. We're hoping that number, to get to that 50,000 this year, we're hoping that number grows to 350 to 400 people this year.
And on the board too, as far as the number of board of directors we're looking for is at least 3. We want an odd number of board of directors. Ideally, we want some in the bylaws. We need somebody from producers, somebody from consumers, and somebody from the worker class to make up that core board. With 2 members at large, we want to stagger the terms so that we don't ever have an empty board of directors again, basically. So depending on how it shakes out, and this would all be